Okay, I'm grafting white sapote. This is a McDill tree I bought a few years ago, and I recently acquired a bunch more varieties, and I'm grafting them varieties. I've been using cleft grafts. The scions I have for this particular variety are rather small, so I'm going to do something I've used for some other type of grafting before. It's a rind bark graft. So this is my scion. I'm going to trim off these petioles from the leaves I trimmed off right at the time of collecting the scions. I don't really need it this long. All I need is even 2 buds. I'm going to just go there. This is Nesco film, something that's not available any longer. It's just something I think is a better version of parafilm. Comes in a 4-inch wide roll. Should have done this before. It's got paper backing. It stretches further than Nesco film without breaking. This just prevents the scion from drying out, desiccation, until it takes and starts growing. Cut halfway through the scion on one side. I rock the knife back and forth. I don't need to put as much pressure and less likely to slip and cut myself. After I do that, it's usually not quite straight. I shave it to get it straight. The back side, I shave it back. Gives it a view of the side. What I do here is trim just a little bit of the bark to expose a cambium layer. I used to use it just on do it on one side, but I think it makes sense to do both sides. This can be done when the bark is slipping or peeling away easy. Cut that all the way through. Be ideal if the stalk was a little bit thicker than that. Use a grafting rubber band for holding it in place. Some other grafting, I use masking tape for this purpose, which works well. It degrades in sunlight after time. That's enough. It's bigger. Scion needs to be wrapped more since it's harder to hold in place tightly. Just trim the extra rubber end away. Finish wrapping. Seal all the surfaces so it doesn't dry out. So the graft is complete. Hopefully it'll be growing in a week, and it'll be pushing buds, and the buds will push through the Nesco film. Go ahead. This is another white sapote. This is variety Kate I'm grafting. I'm going to do a cleft graft on this. I've already trimmed off the petioles and I've made fresh cuts on both ends, like I did with a bark graft. I'm wrapping Nesco film. You can use parafilm around this iron. I'm stretching it before it's applied. I'm going to graft fairly low on this. I try to position this so a bud is facing the direction that I want the branch to grow. Not always possible to do it exactly right, but it'll work okay on this one. I've done quite a few cleft grafts on white sapote, just about a dozen or so. Had a high success rate. Sometimes my cyanwood was dried out and it didn't work. So you can see the cambium layer. I'm going to try to match that up. Now the bark on a small cyan is thinner than on the stalk. You can put your grafting knife in there to help spread it apart. And the bud is on this side, so I'm going to position it facing out. The top bud will usually give the strongest growth. Once that's into the stalk, you don't need the knife in there anymore. Try to get it positioned. Rubber band. Rubber band holds the sign in place until it calluses and a union is formed and the sign starts growing. Usually I work with a shorter piece. Or a thicker sign, I guess, and so I use up the tape and I use another piece for the second part here. Finish that up later with a little bit more on there. I ran a little short there, but that gives you an idea. Usually I'm not quite as clumsy as that. There's some problem with the film wrapping on itself. So again, I think that this usually takes a little bit longer than a bark graft to start pushing, but maybe in a week or two I'll still get buds pushing through the Nesco film.